this is Linda
And this is Leslie.
with Let's Talk. Today we are here with Terry Ewert.
Yes, so excited about Terry being our guest because you know why, Linda? All three of us go way back.
Yes, we did.
That's right. We all go way back to when we were in elementary school. So this is
Yes, we
really
do.
nice. Mm-hmm.
Yes. So today we're here to talk about interracial marriage. This is a big topic of just a little bit different in relationships of how and what does it look like. And I love this topic because all three of us have different points of view of this that we can share. So let's get started. Leslie, you want to ask her the first question?
I sure do. Terry, can you give us a little bit about yourself? Tell us a little about your background, and then we'll go right into the interview.
Sure. As you said, the three of us ladies, we know each other because we grew up in the same community, and that is a blessing. So it's a blessing to be here today, and thank you for having me. I have to say that I'm excited to discuss this topic because I am in an interracial marriage, and I have three beautiful children. One child is a product of that relationship, and two from a previous relationship. But my husband, who is Caucasian, is just a blessing. And for me, it was always going to be important to find someone who was going to love me as well as my children as if they were his own. And so for this man to come into my life and be that blessing is just extraordinary. And so the support and the love I get from him is, I can't talk enough about it. I brag on him, and he's like, oh, you make me sound like I'm so special. And I'm like, you are. So it's just really awesome to be able to kind of highlight some of the very positive things and experiences that we've had in our relationship being an interracial marriage.
I love it. Terry, can you kind of give us a brief way of how you guys met? Back to
Sure.
the first question.
So we met through friends, and so it was kind of a blind date. And I do have to admit that I was really, really like kind of intimidated because A, I don't do blind dates, and B, I was in a situation where I was attending school part-time, working full-time. And so I was grateful for that setting that we were meeting because I didn't go out, I don't do clubs.
Mm-hmm.
And being a mom and working full time, and like I said, going to school, I just didn't have time to, be out and mingle and whatnot. So, but like I said, I was very nervous. And I even pulled up to the place, too scared to go in, and then went home.
Really?
Yes. And so, but before I went home, I saw this man come out of the place, and I was like, oh, he's cute. So I hope the guy that I'm meeting is as cute as he is. And this is hilarious because it turned out to be him. And went all the way home, and he called me. He was like, I've been here for a while, so where are you? And I'm like, oh, I was there, but I was too afraid to go in. And he's like, girl, get up here. Like, hello, what are you doing? Yeah. So that kind of put me at ease. And so I was like, okay, well, I'll come back. And I went in, and it's been history ever since. But
was it love at first sight?
I almost didn't meet him because I was just too chicken to go in. But I don't know if I can say if it was love at first sight, but it was definitely attraction at first sight. So yeah, I knew that I liked him.
I love it. Now, Terry, how many years have you guys been married?
Okay, so gosh, he always says 1,000 years when people ask him. And I'm just like, that's not funny. But okay, so yeah, we married in 2006. So that's what, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12,
14, 15.
Yes, almost had to count fingers and toes, but yes. Yeah, 14 years.
Now, Terry, during these 14, 15 years that you guys have been together, what would you say were some of the highlights and the challenges of being in an interracial marriage?
Yes. there's with any relationship, of course, there's highlights as well as challenges. So, not even including the interracial aspect of it. But for my husband and I would say that the highlight, I'll always start with the good, was just that I felt like the Lord called him into my life because of my life circumstances and where I was, what the season of life I was in when I met him. I needed a very special man. So the love, the support, the encouragement, the fact that he's supportive of all my ideas. Oh, I want to start my own business. I want to be an entrepreneur. He supports that. Oh,
Wow.
I want the kids to try this activity or this particular sport. He supports that. Or, I feel like I need a weekend to myself with girls. He supports that. So the fact that he's so supportive and the fact that, you know, when I feel like there's something that needs attention into our relationship to strengthen us or something that needs attention because we need to overcome this particular thing,
Mhm.
um, he supports that even when it's hard.
Yeah.
And there are some things that we've dealt with that have been hard, but just I want to highlight the fact that he's a blessing and he supports that. So I would think that the difficult thing that we've endured, and the honest thing is that it probably will never go away, just by virtue of us being an interracial couple. And even though this is the year 2020, whatever, it's still something for people to see.
Yeah.
So you get people who like rubberneck, whiplash looking like, like it's something to see, like it's not something to see. For example, my daughter plays hockey as well as being a figure skater. So one of the things we love being, a skating family is going to the hockey games. And even though, there are people of color involved in this amazing sport, for some odd reason, we still experience the whole like I get looked at a lot. And
Okay.
um, I try to tell myself don't necessarily take that as a negative thing. Maybe your hair was cute that day. And
Exactly.
so maybe they're looking for a positive reason. Or maybe they're looking because you're the only Black mom in there. And so that's frustrating for him sometimes because he feels that it's a negative thing. And we've had the experiences of being in a store or being in a place where he felt maybe I was being looked at a little bit too much and possibly profiled, and so
Wow. Okay.
there's that aspect of being in an interracial marriage. We tend to notice it more
Yeah.
because it happens a lot,
Exactly.
and
Exactly.
so we just try not to let it bother us. And there's been other situations, and he's dealt with them, I think, in a positive way where he could have been a lot more macho about it, and
Mhm.
he kind of, chewed it back and didn't get as upset as he could have because
Yeah.
sometimes men don't like it, just
Exactly.
like I've noticed sometimes women don't like it. So that's probably one of the hard things that we've dealt with, but always will,
Yeah, exactly. The nature of the relationship.
the
Now,
nature of
Terry,
the
would you say it's
relationship.
the same, even like from an African American perspective? Have you gotten the looks from African American people like, oh, wow, what's going on?
You do. I mean, because people are only people, and we're curious creatures, and so we tend to look, and we tend to be people watchers, and yes, I've experienced it, and from my side of culture, and he's experienced it from his side, and
Okay.
again, we try to give people the benefit of the doubt because like I
Yeah.
said, you don't always want to assume the worst, but there are those times when it's just so blatantly obvious that a
Mhm.
person has an issue with it. Like before we got married, and even when we were dating, I was in school, and I had friends, and it'd be like, oh, so tell me about your family, or your guy or whatever, and I would say it, and that particular person would get kind of frowned up in the face, like, see, I don't like that, our women, this, that, and the other. And I'm just like, yeah, see, it's not about that. It's about being with the person that fulfills you, that makes you happy. And then I just put it out there. Look, I'm spoiled. I'm spoiled rotten. So my fiance does this, that, and the other, and he's like, well, you need to stay with him. And I'm like, I will. I plan to. So
Yeah, yeah. And now, Terry, would you say these things have helped to strengthen your marriage?
absolutely,
Mhm.
because anything that comes into the relationship, not so much that you bring this into the relationship, but it just happens to you by virtue of being alive and by virtue of who you are. Um, if it doesn't break you, it will strengthen you. And,
Good.
we've had other really difficult circumstances that I won't go into any detail, but
Mhm.
they were really hard. And not only did it push us, draw us closer together, but
Mhm.
it literally pushed us closer to the Lord.
That's
And
good.
so I'm just thinking, the Lord says there's no coincidences in the kingdom of God. And so it could be that He allowed these things early on in our relationship so that we could be strong later
That's
on
good.
down the road. And so even though in the earlier parts of our relationship we had some really hard situations happen,
Mhm.
looking back, I can say I'm grateful for it because it has it has blessed us in the long run in
I
terms of
love it.
foolish arguments like, really, what's that? Like, we overcame that way back
Yeah,
then. Like, we're not going to fight about this,
yeah, that's good.
or silly things like that. So
That's good, Terry. And Linda, I have to just bring you in because you're a product of an interracial relationship. I mean,
yes.
your mother is African American and your dad is Hispanic. Can you tell us a little bit about that perspective as a child growing up biracial?
Honestly,
Great
you don't
question.
think of any difference. Honestly, you don't look at the color of the skin. You never really pay attention to that,
Mhm.
unless somebody, of course, bring it to your attention.
Hmm.
I never even paid attention to the point that I did not have a father that's African American until we moved. So I was grown and had kids of my own, and I shared it with someone, and she was like, "What is it like to have a Hispanic father?" And I'm like,
What?
is it the same of having an African American father? Like, I was like, I had to think about it. Like, is there a difference? Because I have
Right.
uncles and stuff, and it's like, I don't think there's,
Yeah.
I never thought of it. But then again, I remember times going to the store
Mhm.
and people stare.
Yeah.
Or now, see, it's different now. It's a little bit easier now when you have to check race. There is more than one race. But
Mhm.
back in the 70s and 80s, they didn't have that option. It was like,
No.
are you this or that? And it was
Yeah.
Yep.
almost like I had to pick a parent.
Yeah.
Am I gonna, am I choosing my last name, Medina, or am I
Yeah.
picking my skin color? You know what I mean? And then I had that battle to go to, and it's just it's hard. You have to figure out who you are.
But I love that response, Linda, because there truly is no difference. And just to add to that, when I spoke earlier about what what are one of the best things about my relationship with my husband, I briefly mentioned that I needed someone, or I was praying for someone special to come into my life, someone special who would love my two sons as if they were his own. And my son is Black,
Mhm.
and so with my husband being Caucasian, I it was never really a concern for me because love was the bottom
Right.
That's
line.
good.
And so the support was there. And so the love is there. The unconditional love is there. And so that's something else that just, even in our dating, when I noticed that how he was with, my sons, I was just like, this is the right person for
That's
me.
good, Terry.
You just don't want to gamble with
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
and so I'm really grateful that even though that lady asked you what I think, it's kind of an ignorant question because, you know, it doesn't take ethnicity to be a great father, and it doesn't take biology or DNA to be a great father. It takes love and a
That's
willingness
right.
to
That's
love
good.
a child.
Now,
So
Leslie, I have a question for you. You marry someone from the same thing.
Mm.
How was the relationship, or did that affect you and your
My mother.
children? Yeah, how did that affect you?
Well, honestly, and I go back to what you ladies were both saying, love wins. I didn't even see him as, okay, he's Hispanic. Yes, naturally he
yeah,
is Hispanic and the last name is obvious and his culture is obvious, but love wins. You know, you can
yes,
get past that barrier if you see it as a barrier. I didn't see it as a barrier. My mother embraced him right away,
wonderful.
because she saw that I was happy.
Yeah,
And I think that's the ultimate goal for our loved ones. If they see that we're happy, they
yeah,
have no other choice, unless you're just totally selfish. You have no other choice
yeah,
but to want your loved one happy. In this case, want your daughter happy. My mother wanted me happy, and
yeah,
she knew how picky I was. So obviously, he must be some kind of person for me to
yes.
accept him. So yeah, love wins. I love wins in all situations. We can get past that color barrier when we know that love is the ultimate goal.
I
And
think,
I
yeah,
heard this one thing, and I thought this was so powerful, a lesson to teach children about the differences, about races. They said, take two eggs, one brown and one white, but you
hmm
crack them open, they both are the same.
yes.
Oh,
I
I
wow.
said,
love
that's so
that.
good. That's such a good idea to introduce it to children. Hey, we're
Yeah,
all the same inside. We
yes,
both bleed red.
yep,
Only thing that makes us different is our color and our culture, but that shouldn't be the hindrance to loving.
right. hmm I love that, Leslie, because it's true. And, just a funny thing, my husband is so silly. He always says, I'm so glad that the world's not full of all one race because it'd be boring. I don't want to see white people everywhere. I'm like, but you are white, but okay. And he's always, reminding me how beautiful Black women are and how special and how unique we are. And so
Yeah,
he's right. We don't need to be, for one, we weren't even created like that. We were created with this vast diversity and
that's
coming
right.
in all colors and shades. And it should be love that wins, like you said, Les, and
Hmm.
not, you got to stick to your own kind. Like,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
that's so
But I
old.
admit I was like that though, Terry, growing up. I
Mhm.
all I wanted in my mind was, oh, I'm gonna marry someone who's African American. That's
Yeah.
all I thought to do, because that's all I knew,
Yes.
because that was kind of what was
That's how
shared
we were brought
with us.
up,
Exactly.
To
honestly. I
actually
mean,
think about it, like, did it actually come in your head saying that, or like you were only looking that way? Like if
Yeah.
another race come to you, it was a turn off, or because with
It
me
wasn't
it did
an
not.
option.
So you know, how did it happen? Like, were they not attracted? Like, you wasn't attracted to that person, or you just didn't, like, what was that like?
Honestly, I don't know where it came from. I just know that I was going to marry, in my mind. He was
mhm,
either going to be, but no, I take that back. I have one or two things. He was either going to be Black or African American or Hispanic. So that was
okay,
my thing. But I wanted someone Black because I felt that was what I was supposed to have, because
right,
that's all
yes,
I knew.
Did
yeah.
you felt the same way?
I did not feel the same way.
Okay.
I honestly think that for me personally, that's just what I was attracted to, you know, and you tend to lean towards more of what you're attracted to,
Yeah.
and so that's kind of how it happened for me. It was never a thing for me that, he has to be this or he has to be that. My thing is a preference, and so I would say that I would prefer this particular type of person, not to the point that, oh, I would never, date a person of my own race or, of course, not that adamant about it, but just for me, it was a preference.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And see, I never thought about it. The closest I ever thought about it was I wanted to keep my last name. Like, I
That's so funny.
you have to remember, being my skin color and
Mhm.
having Medina as your last name, a Hispanic last name,
Mhm.
it was a lot of work.
Yes. Yeah.
Just dealing with that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And finally, when I felt comfortable and I know who I am,
Mhm.
I'm like, I don't want to change it. I'm comfortable. Like I know
Yeah.
who I am. I can accept this. I know, like nobody. I know what I.
I
And then
love that.
it's like, oh wait, when you get married, you have to change your last name. So I was like, okay, I want another Medina, which it wasn't in our area.
Yeah. Yeah. No, not where we grew up.
Just the last name wasn't in our area. It wasn't the
Yes.
race thing. It was just no other Medina in our
Yeah.
area.
Exactly. Exactly.
So then I'm like, oh, forget it. You know what I mean? So
That's too
love
funny.
some-
I love that you mentioned the name because I love my name. I love my last name. I'm proud to carry it, and I never wanted to hyphenate my name. I just wanted to take on that name and just be proud of that name. And so
That's
that I
beautiful.
love that you say, you just wanted to keep Medina. I'm okay with Ewart. You know,
I love it. That's
I'm
good.
okay
to
with
know.
that. For one, you're not going to see too many E-words that look like me, so I'm just
yeah,
grateful
it
that I
makes you
get to,
stand out. It makes you feel special. And once
yes.
you're securing yourself,
Hmm.
it's a great feeling. Like, yeah, I'm the only, Medina that's out.
Yeah. Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
It
Exactly.
just stand out. Like but you have to know yourself. And
Yes.
that's the battle of somebody being mixed, asking, what are you? You know what I
Yes.
mean? Like, what are you? Because when I wear my hair curly, I look totally different than when I wear my hair straight.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
it's like, well, what are you? And it's like, that's the weirdest question. Like, what do you mean? What am I?
It's so sad,
You don't think, or you'll get used to saying mix. And I did not know a lot of people don't like the word, especially back then.
Yes.
Yes.
People did not like the word mix because to them, they felt like I wasn't claiming their race. So why can't I
And
just
we really it shouldn't even be that serious. Like there has to be a hierarchy and which one you claim for.
but
No,
it
Yeah.
is.
it unfortunately it is.
Yeah,
Yes.
you go through that. And it's like you have to the world tries to make you pick one or
They
the other.
try to define you.
And they still do that today on those forms. Now it says what race you are, and it's a separate category for are you Hispanic or non-Hispanic?
Mhm.
And then
Yeah.
it says African American, all this other stuff, but not Hispanic. And I'm like,
Right.
where do I click?
Right.
It's still trying to make me pick one or the other. Why
Hmm.
can't I?
I love that you bring that up because for a while, I just stopped picking that box in terms of like job applications
Mhm.
because I think there's one now that says choose not to answer. And I just
Yeah.
choose not to answer because why is that significant?
Mhm.
Why are you going to hire me because of, or are you going to not hire me because of? So, how
Exactly.
about just interview me and find out whether you like me or not, or whether I'm a good
Good.
fit for the
Good
for the
point.
role. But
Good point. Good point, Terry.
yeah.
And I have to go back to the point of this podcast broadcast is it's about life's lessons and it's
Mhm.
about laughter and love and ultimately making relationships that last. Terry, what parting words would you give to someone who may be considering this and like, oh, or
Mhm.
might even be a little judgmental, whatever thoughts might
Yes.
be about it? What can you share with someone, a young lady out there
Yes.
who wants to love, but she's unsure because
Yes.
of the barrier of color?
That is a great question. And, I don't know if I have the best or the wisest advice, but I would say, um, you know, don't limit yourself. Do not put yourself in a box because when love wins, it comes in all different colors,
Good.
shapes, sizes, and when we tend to lock ourselves into a particular mindset or a particular whatever it is, like, oh, I would never date outside my race, or I will only date this particular kind of person, then there go the limits and the walls go up. And so you've already maybe cut out maybe 50% of the wonderful opportunities for the most loving relationship that you could ever have. So I would just say, follow your heart. and not necessarily your mind every single time, because your mind may say, girl, now you know that's not a good choice because you're going to have to deal with this, that, and the third, but your heart is saying, he's kind to me, he respects me, he
That's good.
doesn't look like what I would normally try.
Mhm.
And I especially say this to women who have children uh, by one particular race, but maybe they meet someone of a different particular race.
Mhm.
Even in that scenario, if that person is showing you love and showing your child love and saying, hey, I want to support you, I want to be a part of your life, I want to be a part of his or her life, then give them that opportunity.
That's good, Terry.
Give them that opportunity, because you never know what a blessing that might be to you and your children.
I love it. I love it. And if you like what you heard today, and I'm sure you did, because this was some very, very insightful information, and we really appreciate you, Terry, sharing your heart with us.
Oh, my pleasure, ladies.
Yeah, and if you guys like what you heard today, please be sure to hit the like button, subscribe to our channel so you can get more stories, more testimonies just like this, because really that's what it's about. It's about life's lessons, laughter, and love. What's our goal, Linda? To make relationships that last.
Yes, I
Yeah.
love it.
Until next time, we'll see you later. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, ladies.
Thanks, Terry.